This is Podnutz, episode 17. The title of this episode is Backups and Disaster Preparation with Mike Petro. Before we start off, I just wanted to make a quick announcement. If you haven't tuned into Podnutz Daily, you could go see it at podnutzdaily.com. It's a full live video show now, and also released as an audio podcast. You could catch it Monday through Friday, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It goes about half an hour. And we're having a lot of fun over there. You could actually call in if you ever wanted to ask a question or if you want to give a tool or a tip. You could call in at the end of the show. I have the lines open. And I think you guys will enjoy that. So check that out if you haven't seen that yet or heard that yet. PodnutzDaily.com. I'm here again with Mike Petro from Petro Computer Solutions.
Howdy, y'all.
And we're going to be talking about backup plans and disaster recovery preparation, I guess you could say.
Yeah, I mean, you could just call it backup plans. What we're going to talk about is the importance of backing up, how to back up, and how to test that your backup's working. You're going to basically have two main schools of thought for backing up your files. A, you want to protect your music you paid for, photos that you cherish, documents that you've worked a long time, want to put a lot of effort into. And on the other hand, you want to have a way that if your computer crashes, you can get back up and running in the shortest amount of time possible with the least amount of data loss as possible. So I practice a combination of both. You may, as an end user, you may just be concentrating on your music and your pictures and whatnot, and not the actual operating system itself. So we're basically going to talk about the two different methods. Ways to do those, whether you're using an external drive, different types of media, or online backup, and actually, testing it if your backup's working. I've seen a lot of customers that they think they're backing up, their backup thing, says it's running, but when it comes down to the time where they actually need it, will it do the job?
Now, I use a couple backup procedures, and the main things I like to back up are, like if you have in my documents folder for Windows, most of the stuff that you probably want to save is in that folder. But there are programs here and there that like to store things in other parts of your hard drive. Like Quicken used to do that, and I'm not sure if QuickBooks still does that. But me, for a general backup, I like to take like my whole my documents folder, which will include my webs, my documents, my pictures, my music. I mean, iTunes stores all the music into my documents folder.
Favorites.
Yeah,
Favorites actually isn't in my documents. It's the directory above it. It's actually in your username folder.
Right, it's in your username folder. Same with desktop.
Correct.
And a lot of people store things right on their desktop, which is a little scary because it's not actually stored in your My Documents folder when you do that. So you just got to make sure you grab that as well, and that's in the Documents and Settings folder.
Correct.
Okay, so those are just some general things we throw out there of stuff we like to back up. Where do we go from here?
First, you're going to decide, like I said, what you want to back up. Kind of audit your system and get an idea of how much space we're talking about. Now, if you have 100 gigs of music, for example, CD-ROM or DVD isn't going to exactly be the best way. It's going to take a long time. You're going to have all these discs hanging out. So that's obviously not going to work. However, say you just want to back up your school projects. A CD-ROM would work perfectly good for that instance. Doc files, Excel spreadsheets, they're only about 25, 50K at the most. And that's a good way to back up smaller stuff like that.
Now, CDs are about a little over 700, what is it, 768?
I think it's 700 megs?
700 megs, generally. DVDs start at about 4 gigs that they can store, and then the dual layers go up to 8 gigs?
I think it's like 9 gigs.
Okay, 9 gigs. And then if I talked about this before, when the HD DVDs were going out of style, if you could have picked up a cheap HD DVD writer for your computer, they stored like 30 gigs just on one disc.
Right.
But that's a little strange. I mean, your best bet for saving on, if you're using actually a physical disc, is to just get a dual-layer DVD player and record the dual-layer DVDs. I mean, you're going to be able to put much more on there than just piling up the CDs. That's just talking optical storage right now. Right.
And optical storage is good. It's a very cost-effective way. However, optical CDs, they don't last forever. They degrade over time. You can have a CD that you keep it clean on the bottom. There's no scratches. Once that top layer of that of the tin, what is it, aluminum, tin foil? Let's just call it tin foil, whatever it is. Once that starts to degrade, your CD's worthless because the laser needs that surface to reflect off of to read the information. I can take a perfectly good CD, and I don't know if you've ever done this. You get the air can, and you get the straw, and you kind of put it at the edge of the top of the CD, and you can watch the tin fly off like a space saucer. They come off, and I noticed like the CDs that I've had that are 7, 8 years old, they're starting to kind of get funky on the top. The bottom looks fine. If you look at the bottom, you can see the top layer of the foil starting to degrade. I think Maxell, whatever the company's name is, they make those 100-year CDs. They're gold plated, or they put some kind of special manufacturing process in, and they're not nickel a piece CDs. They're more money, but they're supposed to last 100 years. Archive CDs, they call them.
Well, that's good, but then you're back up to bringing the price back up, and the reason you would probably want to save to optical is to keep the price down.
Right.
It's debated how long these media last. It depends on the conditions that you're storing them in as well, like extreme heat or extreme cold.
Right.
Probably not good for them.
If you're keeping them on a spindle on top of one another, that's a good way to wear them out pretty quickly. And you got to remember with this type of situation, data backup, you got to understand that redundancy is the key. You got to have more than one location of your files, whether it's on a USB stick, an external drive, a DVD, a CD, a zip drive. As long as redundancy is the key to data preservation and disaster recovery.
I agree. And before we get talking in other methods, the last thing I want to say on optical storage is, if you're going to use CDs or DVDs, buy quality name brand media, because I've at Micro Center a couple times went and bought like the $7.99 for a 100 CD pack, and they don't last. For me, the way I use them, and it's not even that much, they just don't last a long time, maybe a couple months of usage, and then maybe they get one small scratch, and they just don't seem to work anymore in the drives. I've noticed, and what I'm trying to say is I've noticed a difference between quality name brand media and the cheapy kind. Definitely worth it if you're going to be using it for backup anyway. Get a name brand kind.
Absolutely. I like the verbatim. Sometimes I'll get Memorex. Companies that have been in the business for a while. I know that Micro Center sells those WinDatas, and it's like 100 pack for like $6.
Yeah.
I would never buy those. A lot of times I give my customers backups on a DVD, so I want to give them quality media that they're going to have, not some kind of junky. If they if they put it in light, it's going to like melt. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Yeah, but optical storage is just one avenue that you can take. I prefer the external hard drive method.